It's no secret that there are bacteria in the James River, and on a larger extent, bacteria are everywhere in the world. But what do we need to know about these bacteria to keep our beloved James River a source of drinking water, food, and recreation for years to come? My name is Mary Coughter. I'm a PhD student at VCU, and I study environmental microbiology with an emphasis on antibiotic resistance. People are often familiar with the idea of resistant superbugs looming in the future, but not when or where they might impact us. My research asks, how can antibiotic-resistant bacteria affect people, organisms, and wildlife in the James River? Antibiotics are meant to stop the growth of bacteria, or even kill them. But some bacteria survive exposure to these drugs and become resistant to them. These organisms then reproduce and pass along resistance genes to a new generation of bacteria. Discharged from homes, hospitals, and other places, antibiotics regularly end up in municipal wastewater. Microbial communities in urban waterways are often exposed to this untreated wastewater. This is due to the fact that municipal sewer systems were built to serve much smaller populations than they do now. This infrastructure is called a combined sewer, or CSO, system.
The city of Richmond, the first sewer was built in the 1920s to help get stormwater and sewage out of the streets. About a third of Richmond's sewer system is combined sewer, meaning the stormwater and the sanitary sewer are in one big pipe.
In Virginia, there are 3 cities with CSOs: Lynchburg, Alexandria, and Richmond. And Richmond's is by far the largest CSO.
There are 25 combined sewage outfalls in Richmond. This is CSO 6, the largest CSO along the James River. During a heavy rain, the combined sewer fills up. Raw sewage, including antibiotics, overflow into the James River. This overflow is also called a CSO, or a CSO event.
When you have a CSO, it's a problem because you have raw sewage going into the river. We see elevated bacteria levels after CSOs, and we always see higher bacteria levels after rain, but part of it is attributed to the CSO.
Bacteria levels are measured by the presence of E. coli, an indicator species used to evaluate the amount of pathogenic or disease-causing bacteria in the water.
Let's say the bacterium becomes resistant to an antibiotic that they're exposed to in the river. Maybe that organism is just slightly resistant, and it multiplies and mutates, and then they're a little bit more resistant. And all of a sudden, boom, you got a mutant that is completely resistant.
The combined sewer system is not broken. It is performing as it's supposed to. But how do we go about improving the system?
The problem is that one of the biggest ways of fixing a CSO is to build tunnels. And building tunnels is expensive, it's labor intensive, it disrupts, city practices because you have to go underneath cities. It's not a cheap process, and it's not going to be a quick process.
Even if the city's sewer infrastructure is upgraded, wastewater treatment won't remove antibiotics from the water. Some antibiotics will reach the James River, and resistance will continue to develop. However, we can slow the rate by minimizing overuse of antibiotics.
My opinion is it would be a whole lot more efficient to treat it where it's discharged at the manufacturing plant, maybe at hospitals or treatment centers where we do have a lot of people who are using antibiotics and they're discharging it through the sewer.
Resistance can develop in the presence of any amount of antibiotics, whether through extreme exposure, very dilute concentrations, or even naturally in the presence of no antibiotics whatsoever. I've examined microbes and resistance genes along the James River throughout Richmond, determining that the safest place to recreate is upstream of the larger downtown CSOs. Now, I'm looking at how the native bacterial community responds to different dilutions of sewage and river water and how this would impact us. We can still swim, boat, and fish in the James River. Meanwhile, through research, we're learning that our health depends on protecting the environmental health of our waterways.